Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan Kostrowski here with Fantasy Sports Consulting and the DFS 5-pack. Goal of this video, I want to discuss Saturday night's contest. Both myself and the members of my group had a really good night on Saturday. So just kind of want to talk about what I did and what we did that night. Hopefully it'll give you guys some ideas about how to better formulate GPP strategies and GPP contests, especially for smaller slates. So hopefully you can take something out of it. One of the big questions I get from people a lot is, I'm doing okay at cash, but how do I do better at GPP? Which is a borderline impossible question for me to answer because I don't know what you're doing currently. So it's hard for me to really give you any honest criticism or evaluation if I don't know what's going into it. And it's not a simple process. I wish I could wrap it up in 2 lines and make it easy on you guys, but it's just not quite that simple. So if I'm a little choppy this video, I just wrote down some talking points. We'll kind of run through them and hopefully get something out of it, and we can look at doing some more winning. And if you're new to the station, the newest way or easiest way to get videos, just press that red button that says subscribe. Sorry, having a little trouble talking so far. Okay, let's take a look at a few things. So Saturday, my big thing for myself and my customers, and I talked about it all day long, is I wanted to stack the Suns versus the Nuggets game. At the end of the night, I brought in about 10 times my total buy-in for the day, and I'll take that every single day and twice on Sunday. Not the best day I've ever had, but it was a very, very, very solid day. I wish I had bet more money. But there's other days I wish I'd bet less money on days that don't go so well. So you can't always can't always have 20/20 vision beforehand. I know we say hindsight's 20/20. So takeaways out of this. I stacked this game. Now on smaller slates for GPP, otherwise known as tourneys, I will normally try to pick one game, and I will usually look to stack maybe 4 to 7 guys from it. This is not an unusual strategy. This is a strategy employed by many people. I specifically like game stacks the most within smaller slates. Try to find the best and highest scoring game and kind of run with it. If this is Monday the 30th of January, if you stacked Knicks versus Hawks yesterday and they went 4 overtimes, you probably did really, really well, even though it was only a 2-game slate. Or at nighttime, I finished in the top 20% with one of my lineups. I only did one, and it was Blazers versus Warriors. It worked out really, really well. And if that game had gone to OT, I would have won some nice money, and it was so, so close. But, classic DFS close doesn't get you anything, right? So why did I go after this game? It was the highest projected point total by a good amount. And I thought it was so obvious. I thought it was such an obvious play. I thought everybody would be on it, but that didn't necessarily come to fruition. I liked it because these are both teams, Nuggets and Suns, that play a lot of offense. They play fast pace. They don't play a lot of defense. So this game had an over-under point total projected of, I think it was like 233, 232, which is an ideal game to target. You can target lower scoring games, but you're very rarely going to get a bunch of players that are going to meet or exceed value. You'll get 1 or 2 probably out of this game. In the right game, everybody can exceed value, or damn near everybody can exceed value. So again, I thought that this game would have everybody all over it, but I had a lot of players in this game that were barely owned. Fareed, for example, Kenneth Fareed was only like 6% owned in the contest I entered in, which made literally no sense to me. I know he had a questionable next to his name all day, but he was probable from the point that the morning started. He was probable all day long, which just leads me to a side note that if you're trying to get your questionable and probable information from FanDuel or DraftKings guys, they are slow to update. Put yourself in line with the Roto Grinders, the Fantasy Labs, the Basketball Monsters of the world. They will give you much better information, or just scour Twitter like a madman, and you'll know these things. Do not listen to DraftKings or FanDuel for a player's status. They are generally behind on this stuff. You can get way better info from any of those big sites I just named. All right. Anyways, the big reason I liked the Denver guys was one of my favorite players, Nikola Jokic, was out for the day. So when you get a guy like Jokic where the ball is in his hands a lot and they basically run the offense through him a good portion of the time, you now need players to replace his 25, 10, and 6 or whatever he gets you on a normal day these days. And that is why I was really hard on Danilo Gallinari, which was only like 10 to 15% owned. Gallinari is their second best scorer on the team. Well, you got no Emmanuel Mudiay around to kind of keep the ball in his hand. You got no Jokic. To me, I thought Gallinari was as obvious as a play as there was out there that day. He was barely owned. So it was just one of those days where I didn't quite get the ownership, but that'll happen from time to time. So I was pretty much 100% ownership with Eric Bledsoe, Kenneth Farid, and Gallinari. And these guys, like when it combined, I want to say they were upwards of like 60 or 70 points over their projected 5-time ratio. So you got a lot of points right there that really put us in a good spot. And then it was just a matter of putting the right pieces around them. So a point I want to bring up, even though I thought it was the most obvious game by a long shot, I reiterate, it wasn't targeted that way. And I don't know if it was because Roto Grinders and Fantasy Labs didn't talk it up or what the deal was. But that goes back to one of my big mantras, which is keep it simple, stupid. Don't get too concerned with always trying to find the lowest owned guys and things like that. I think for your common player, if they put too much energy and thought into trying to find ownership percentages, I think it screws them up more than it helps them. Now, your elite DFS players out there who probably aren't even watching this video, they're capable of doing that, but they do this stuff all day, every single day. For your average common man, I think he puts too much stock in trying to figure out ownership percentages, and it often screws them up more than it helps them. So if you remember my football videos throughout the year, I always talked about keep it simple, stupid. My football records went way up once I stopped trying to be too cute with ownership percentages and trying to pick those guys, and I just went with the gut instincts, what I thought were going to work. Okay. So don't get bogged too down in ownerships. So how did I set my main lineup? Well, I will almost always have one main lineup for the day, and I will put probably 60% of my daily bets into that in double ups, and then I will always set them in one GPP lineup. So my main lineup for the day was all first or seconds and all my double ups, so that was all one easy. And then the GPP that I entered it in, that was good for 6 out of 1,960 people, so it was good for about 27 times buy-in. Now, I like to share multiples for your buy-in amount instead of dollar amounts because I think dollar amounts is where people can falsely advertise and falsely market to themselves. And I've caught people doing this on Facebook before. Nobody I necessarily know, and even if I did know him, I definitely wouldn't name him. But I saw a guy in one of these free like FanDuel DraftKings groups where I go post my videos all the time. And I don't know if he just screenshotted it poorly, but he was talking about how awesome his day was going. You got to sign up for my service. Look, I'm winning, $8,000 again. But what it also showed was he entered like $8,000 worth of tournaments. So he wasn't winning anything. He was just getting his money back. I would rather go talk to somebody who made $5 off of a quarter arcade versus somebody who bet 8,000 and got 8,000 back. How much money you have to bet with doesn't necessarily mean that you're a better or worse DFS player. I talk to people all the time that play dollar games who really, really know their shit. And I talk to people who have more money just because of where they are in their life that don't necessarily aren't great DFS players. So that's why I try to talk buy-in amounts. Anyway, so that main lineup getting me 27 times my buy-in. Think about it this way. If I enter my main lineup in a GPP everyday one, I've now bought myself basically 1 month of GPP entries on that, which means if I didn't cash one other time with that main lineup, I'm still going to be about even on the month. I'm going to cash again on it. I mean, that goes without saying. But that's why when you're playing GPPs, it's important to remember that you're going to get some extended periods of time. You might go a week or two and not place in it, but when you get it back and you get a couple of good ones per year, you get all your profit coming back to you that way. So that was that for the main lineup. And then I do my 5-pack. And if you followed me for a long time, you understand the 5-pack. And some people call it a core 4, some people call it a 6-pack. It's basically finding a group of 4, 5, or 6 players that you can set as kind of a core group, and then you build around them. And that's what you do in your multi-entry tournament. So I generally will do 5 lineups with the same 5 guys in there all 5 times, with the exception that I will often pull each guy one time, which means I don't want full exposure, so I'll take 80% exposure to these guys. And this will fluctuate day to day. But on this specific contest, I pulled Will Barton out of the shooting guard spot once and went with Gary Harris, and that was the lineup that really, really killed it. So I entered the 5 tournaments. One of them I got second in, and I brought back, it was like 80, 90 or something like that, 90 times my buy-in, and the other one was 15 times my buy-in. So this sets me up for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And I had been in a little GPP slump for about a month where, I had some cashes, but nothing major. So now all of that, I got all my profit back just by that one day by getting that one lineup right. So it's trying to understand the ups and downs that go with GPP entries. And also when you're setting those multi lineups and you use a core group of players, it's okay to take guys out every once in a while if it helps build lineups around it, because that allowed me to get Andre Drummond into this lineup, which was a big deal for me because I knew Drummond I was in a really good spot Saturday, and that's why I ran in my cash lineup and had them in 2 or 3 of my GPPs as well. So that's hopefully some talking points. I know it probably rambled on a little bit incoherently at times, but I had a lot of points I was trying to get across in a short period of time before I bored you guys to death. So hopefully you guys get something out of it. Let's go back out there tonight and really let's battle out and try to win some good money. If you're interested in joining the team and becoming a team member, it's only $30 a month or $200 for a full year. I'm here to try to help you get better at DFS and give you another resource you can use to help yourself start lineups. I don't think there's too many people you can buy from. I think if you're really serious about DFS, the more information you get, often the better. So I'd love to help you. And if you're interested, hit me up over email, Twitter, or anything like that. But thanks for watching. Have a great day.